Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another Giratina V-STAR deck. This will be my third video on Giratina V-STAR, which is kind of funny, but this Giratina V-STAR deck is going to be using the new tool card called Camo Poncho, which I believe is coming out in the, the high-class decks, the Zoro or the Axis decks in Japan. And it is just a super strong tool card that when it's attached to a V-STAR or VMAX, you prevent all effects of supporters done to that Pokemon. So you can't boss anything that has this tool card on it. And not many decks play Tool Scrapper. Like, there are barely any decks that are playing Tool Scrapper. Tool Jammer doesn't help because the Pokemon will most likely be on the bench when that tool card is attached. It also prevents Avery, which is cool. There's just a lot of really good uses for this tool card. And we're going to be playing it alongside Giratina V-STAR. This looks similar to my list that I did originally when Giratina first dropped, but I actually took the majority of this list is from a Japanese YouTube channel. I don't know what it's called. Translated in English, it's Play Viva, but I'll leave a link to the video down below if you want to go look at their channel on that video. It's a really, really good channel, even if you don't speak Japanese like me. It's just really good to watch their games and to have their lists. Their lists are amazing, and their deck ideas are really cool, so go check them out. Let's just get into this list. Starting off with a 4/4 Giratina V-STAR. And I believe, the Pokemon lineup is almost identical to their list. I believe I did take out the Expiriment. But other than that, it's the same. So they have a 4/4 Giratina line. The Giratina V-STAR, of course, has a super, super powerful attack. I'll sleep here so you don't get a glare. Has a super, super powerful attack. I don't know what it's called. Oh, I always forget Lost Impact. That's it. For a Psychic and a Grass and a Colress, to deal 280 damage, and you have to loss them 2 energy from your Pokemon. That's just a super strong attack. 3 energy for 280 is crazy. It's super efficient. It's really strong. Lossing 2 energy is not a big deal because we can just get them right back with the Mirage Gate item card. And then the V-STAR Power Star Requiem says that you can only use it if you have 10 or more cards on a loss zone, but your opponent's added Pokemon is instantly knocked out, which is a just really, really strong effect. Just instantly knock out anything. It's only costs 2 energy. Really easy to use if you have the 10 cards in the loss zone. And you want to get 7 cards in the loss zone already. 3 more after 7 is not going to be too much harder to get. It's just a really, really strong card. And then the V actually has Shred, like a very powerful Shred for a Grass Psychic Colress for 160, goes through all effects. Pretty nice. So you just have that option to go through Miltank, things like that. Then we have for Comfey, which is of course going to be the way we're going to be getting our cards in the loss zone mainly, along with like 1 or 2 Colress maybe, the Comfey engine and Scuba Nets and things like that. To just use flower picking over and over and over, and just get a whole bunch of cards in the loss zone early game. That's the main reason of the Comfey, to Scuba Net into other Comfey, kind of like you do with Jirachi or right now the Mew engine, the Turbo Mew engine, like that. And then going to Pokemon, 1 copy of Radiant Greninja, because we play a decent amount of energy. We play 12 energy, and concealed cards is just a really, really good effect. Discard energy, draw 2. It's insanely good for consistency. And we do have an energy cycler in the deck, so we don't mind discarding too many energy. You can just shuffle them back in the deck. Our attack does loss of energy. We can't really help anything about that, but we can help discarding energy. And Radiant Greninja is just too good to play, and we have ways to get the energy, so it's fine. And then we have 1 copy of Crobat V for consistency. I'll just say here, but the kind of interesting thing is we have 1 copy of Crobat VMAX. Now this might seem kind of weird. We don't play Dark Energy. We just play 1 Crobat VMAX. And the reason we just play a single Crobat VMAX and no Dark Energy is because the tool card affects VMAXs too. Now, it doesn't affect Vs, just regular basic Vs, but it does affect VMAXs, and that means that if we VMAX our Crobat V into a VMAX and then we attach the Camo Poncho to it, it can't be bossed. So basically, it gives up 1 more prize, but if it's not being bossed, it doesn't matter. Basically, this Crobat VMAX basically just allows our Crobat V to be unbossable, which is super, super nice. I originally had a collapsed stadium over the Crobat VMAX, Let me scoot the card in a little bit more. I originally had a Collapse Stadium over the Crobat VMAX. But I just decided I think the Crobat VMAX is better just because, the Collapse Stadium isn't reliable. You don't hit it when you need. It's not searchable. Maybe you don't have enough Pokemon to even utilize it to discard the Crobat. The Collapse Stadium is definitely solid. And if you don't like the Crobat VMAX, you can definitely play the Collapse Stadium over the Crobat VMAX. But I just think the Crobat VMAX is a really cool option to just make your Crobat V impossible. And yeah, let's get into the supporters for Colress's Expiriment, like my first build. And 2 boss. I upped the boss count because we don't have Banette anymore. And then also, that is also what the Japanese list played. The 2 boss, no Banette. Seems fine. This list is a little bit slower than my original list, and I think the Japanese list intended to be, just because the Camo Poncho allows you to be a little bit slower, which is really, really nice. You can just, the Camo Poncho kind of gives you an extra turn to get cards in the long zone, which can be nice. Another turn to play Colress or use flower picking or things like that. But 2 boss, no Banette. It seems pretty good. If you're utilizing your resources right, you should still have bosses around at the end of the game. Unless you're like really, really going to be pinched for resources. Then we have 4 Quick Ball, of course, for item cards. 4 Skip-Up-Net. And then 4 of the new Mirage Gate, which is a new item card coming out. That says you can only play it if you have 7 more cards in the Lost Zone. But if you do, it's a super powerful effect, allowing you to search for 2 different basic energy types and attach them to your Pokemon. 2 different basic energy types. With Giratina, it costs a Grass, a Psychic, and a Colorless. So 2 Psychic and a Grass, 2 Grass and a Psychic. I won't do it, but basically this just says in our deck, accelerate 2 energy, which is really, really good for a kind of awkward attack cost, and the fact that Psychic and Grass don't have great acceleration. Gardenia's does exist for Grass, but it's not that great. It's kind of slow. We need that time to play. We basically, like, instead of playing Gardenia, we play Colress, basically. And obviously Shadow Rider doesn't work on Giratina because Shadow Rider only works on Psychic Pokemon and Giratina's Dragon type. So Mirage Gate's the only way we're going to be accelerating. And it's just a super, super powerful way to do it. And because we have the Camo Poncho, it can give us an extra turn to get that 7 cards in the Lost Zone threshold, so we can start accelerating energy with the Mirage Gate. And then we have 3 Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball is a pretty good card, it turns out. Searching your Pokemon's good. And it can search for evolutions, like our Crobat VMAX. We need to find that out. Our Giratina, if we somehow haven't drawn into one, we play 4. Like, 4 is a lot. You're going to be drawing into Giratinas a lot. You don't usually need to directly search for one. You're just going to have it in the hand. Then we have 2 copies of Fog Crystal, because it can get basic energies, as well as finding Comfeys, which is really, really nice. We need to be able to get at least 2 Comfey in play, so we can just chain them on Skip-Up-Nets over and over and over again. And that's going to be how we're getting a lot of cards in the Lost Zone, how we're drawing. Like, Comfey doesn't just put cards in the Lost Zone, it also draws you any one card you want from the top 2, which is really, really good. Drawing 1 and getting cards in the Lost Zone to just later benefit off with the Mirage Gate is really, 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 really solid. 2 copies of Switch, so we can switch between our Comfeys and our Giratina, of course, because Giratina does have a little bit hefty retreat of 2. I believe the V-Star has 2 as well. I don't know the attack names. I don't know the retreat. I don't know anything about Giratina. Oh well. But we have 2 switch, so we can switch in and out of our Comfeys and the Giratina. Then 1 copy of Energy Recycler, like I mentioned, if we have to discard a couple energies, and of course, so we can benefit off that Radiant Greninja a couple times. It's usually not a good idea to Lost Zone Energy Recycler. I'm finding myself using it almost every single game. I would honestly consider a second Energy Recycler just because it's that good. Energies are a really, really important resource. You have to be Lost Zoning a good amount of energies most of the time, so we need to be able to get them back in the discard pile at the very least. And yeah, Energy Recycler is pretty good. Ordinary Rod is not great. I mean, if you have to discard your Crobat VMAX earlier, maybe Ordinary Rod would be good for that. But other than that, I don't really see an instance where Ordinary Rod would be better over Energy Recycler. Energy Recycler gets more energy. We already have a 4/4 line over our attacker. We're not going to be needing to get that back with Ordinary Rod very often. So Energy Recycler just seems like better value than Ordinary Rod, so I would really consider a second energy recycler. Then 1 copy of Lot Sweeper, because we play, quite a bit of tools. We play 2 Air Balloon and 3 Camo Poncho, as well as a Stadium, a single training court. So even putting our own cards in the Lost Zone is beneficial to us. If there is any tool or Stadium card is in play on either side, it benefits us because we get to put 1 card in the Lost Zone when we play it. So if we get to play it, it's basically at least a +1 in the Lost Zone, which is really, really good. I've built versions of Giratina that rely really heavily on this with Oranguru V to just use Lost Sweeper as aggressively as possible. So you can just get more and more cards in the Lost Zone to try and reach that 7 card in the Lost Zone threshold by turn 2. Just Lost Sweeper, good card in general. You also don't forget that not only is a +1 or +2 to the Lost Zone, it's also can be a way to just remove stadiums. You can remove a pack. So it's basically like another stadium. It can remove a training court if you don't want your opponent to use a training court. It has a lot of uses. Excuse me, seems pretty good. Then going into the fancy card that this deck is built around, or this version, is the Camo Poncho, which is a tool card that says the Pokemon that this card is attached to, if it's a V-Star or VMAX, it isn't affected by effects of your opponent's supporter cards, so you can't boss a Crobat VMAX or a Giratina V-Star. Now, not only does this allow you more time to use Comfey and use your Colress, but it also can allow you just manual attach 3 times to a Giratina, which is really, really nice. Just be a little bit slower. And sometimes turn 2, your opponent has a 1 prizer active. And if your opponent has a 1 prizer active, you don't want to be hitting that thing for 280. Your attack does 280 and it Lost Zones 2 energy. That's a lot of resources to commit for a single prize. That won't matter because your game plan usually is I want to knock out 3 V-Stars or I want to knock out 2 V-Stars and a V. That's your most efficient prize race with the Giratina deck. And sometimes you don't want to knock out that active 1 prize race. Sometimes you just want to wait until you have the turn to boss, because usually you're going to have to Colress turn 2. And you want to wait till they have the turn to boss. And wait till your opponent puts up their own 2 prizer. If their 2 prizer can't boss you, then you can just sit there and wait for them to put up their 2 prizer, like a game of chicken. And you usually win that game of chicken because you one-shot everything. So, the Camo Poncho is really good for that. Like I mentioned, just turn attach 3 times. You can just, turn attach 3 times, so you wait for your opponent to just set up their board, and then you just one-shot everything. Giratina is really good at just destroying V-Stars, so if you're up against a V-Star deck, you can just wait it out usually. Just wait till your opponent just puts their guy active, and you're okay, cool, 2 prizes. And plus, giving yourself the extra time to set up is also cool, because not only do you give your opponent the extra time to set up, but you're just wasting it, but you also get more time to use Colress, to use Comfey, things like that. Now I'm going into 2 Air Balloons, which is, of course, go with Comfey, go with Giratina. Air Balloons is a good card, and we can Lost Sweeper to get more cards on our own Lost Zone. Then the 1 Stadium in the list, 1 copy of Training Court to round out the trainer cards. And the energy is 6 Grass Energy and 6 Psychic Energy, the same count from the Japanese video. It's felt okay. Maybe I would want a 7th of each, just because sometimes if you don't find your energy recycler, you can be a little bit pressed for energy. That's the only bad thing about Giratina, is that it does use resources really, really aggressively, which is a little bit annoying. But we can work around it. Like I mentioned, 7th Psychic and 7th Grass is definitely something worth considering. And yeah, that's the list. It's honestly, the Camo Poncho was a lot better than I thought it would be. I haven't tested it with the Crobat VMAX as much as I just have with the Giratina. But the ability to just make your Crobat V unbossable just sounds pretty cool and pretty good as well. And the ability to just go a little bit slower, wait for your opponent to set up so you can just demolish their board with the Giratina and set up your own board a little bit better as well is really, really nice. One thing I want to add is I watched OHKOs video, and they said that Giratina V-Star realistically is taking 4 prizes, a single one. And so if you're attacking with 3 Giratina V-Stars, then that, if each one takes 4 prizes, then you're working with 12 prizes. You've taken 12 prizes. So each Giratina takes 4 prizes. You're winning the game 2 times over than your opponent is, which that's just crazy. That just shows to go how fast and how powerful and how aggressive Giratina can be. If you really pop off and get those 7 in the last turn 2, you can have a really clean start. But also, even if you don't, like I mentioned, just sit back, Camo Poncho, wait it out, things like that. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. If you guys liked it, don't forget to like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I do videos like this all the time. I will have to put this deck list. I will put this deck list in the description if you guys want to see it as text. But yeah, that's to do it. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.